Hey, so it's Carla Ann again. Um, and I'm just wanting to continue telling you a little bit about my journey dealing with some of my questions and actually this one's particularly about comments that I get from other people and a question in my own mind about how does God find this fair? So, as you probably know, my husband Scott has cancer. He has been given a short time to live, although we have faith and hope, and we're taking some treatments and hoping that God gives him an extended amount of time, because we would like to be married for 30 years, and so far it's been 9 months. So we're really hoping for a lot more time together. But, you know, one of the things that people say to us, oh, it's just not fair. And it's true. I feel that too. I was married before 26 years when I was divorced, and it was rough. And I was like, why, God, why? Why is my marriage so hard? Why is it that no matter what I do, nothing seems to change? And when I do all the things you're asking, there's still all of this hardship, all this suffering. And I went through a lot of, many difficult years. And if anyone that's watching this has ever raised kids, you know that raising kids isn't just a picnic and a walk in the park. So there was things there too that I'm like, it's not fair. Why do some parents get, kids where it's easy? They love to obey and they love to help. And I wouldn't trade my kids and their strong personalities for anything. I love it because they all grew up to be independent, visionary thinkers, and they have all four very unique personalities. And so I wouldn't trade it, but it was not easy. And now here I am. I've married a wonderful man, and it feels not fair. It feels like we got married. Yeah, I knew he had cancer. The information we got was that, there would be some limit to his life possibly, but there were options. At that point, there were options. We could do surgery, perhaps radiation, perhaps chemistry. Not chemistry, chemotherapy. And so there was options. And so, yeah, I knew I was marrying a man that had history with cancer, but I did not know it was going to be like this. I certainly didn't know it was going to be like this in 8 months into our marriage. Truth is, he had his first surgery before we got married. He had his second surgery, not cancer related, the day before our wedding. And then he had a third surgery in April. He had a fourth surgery in May, a double lung resection. And that didn't go very well. It was a rough surgery. And then here we are, October, he had a fifth surgery. So in our 9-month marriage, 5 surgeries, and a very grim diagnosis. And I feel like, why now, God? Like, I found a godly man who loves me, loves my kids, loves my grandkids. I love him. I love his kids. And it feels like we're yay, things are going well. And yet we have this sort of hanging over us. Now, we're praying that these treatments work. We're praying that he has more life. But honestly, when we talk to the doctors, they have no good news for us, really. So our hope is in the Lord, and we're going to take all the steps that we know to take to do it. But I'm like, I could very easily. And there are days that I say, God, why? Like, this isn't fair. We want justice from our adversary. We want to take back the years that the enemy has stolen. We want more life together than we had in joy and love than what we had previously. And we want to we want to have ministry together. We want to live together. We want to, enjoy our grandchildren, leave a legacy together. This is what we want to do. So there are days it doesn't feel fair that we've already suffered in our own lives privately. We've grown, we've become the people we are because of what God has done and how he's taught us. And yet here we are again. Early in our marriage, we went to visit with a couple friends of ours, and we sat down with them and said, Okay, every week in the last several months, something big has happened. We've also had, I think, 5 MPI claims, like 5 car accident claims of some kind. Most of them we weren't driving, so something else was going on. But it's just, and then a house insurance claim. Like there's just been so many things. It just doesn't seem to end. And so we sat down with them and we like, are we just only so aware of our own issues, or do you guys have like big stuff happening every week too? And they're like, no, our lives are pretty boring. And so we're like, okay, so why us? Why did we get the choice? How did we get picked? And so most days I've got a handle on that. But every now and then, somebody says something to us and it just triggers all of these things to come up. And the only way that I know to fight is with logic and truth. I've been crying on these videos because I don't know, God's definitely been changing my heart in the last 10 years and I'm much more emotional than I once was. But I tend to be a thinker, like logic and science, they mean a lot to me. And so I've already settled where my faith is and why I believe what I believe. So apologetically, if anyone wants to question why I believe what I believe, I have my answers. But these are the hard things, okay? So then, God, if you're so good and if you love me so much, why this? And a few times somebody has said to us, oh, well, you guys don't deserve this. You don't deserve cancer. And I want to speak to that. And I want to speak to the, is it fair question that I have? Because it doesn't feel fair to me. And so let me talk about fair first. And then I want to tell you what I'm thinking of when you guys or someone else or anyone says to us, you don't deserve this. So about being fair, I know myself and I've grown in self-awareness over the last many years. And I hope that you guys are doing that too as you get older, as you mature, that you don't just get stuck in your ways, but that you're always looking to see, how can you grow? How can you improve? How can you change? How can you be a better person? How can you love more? How can you be more like Christ? But there's ways that we can grow and change. But when I look at, is it fair? I have to then ask, well, who's the judge that's deciding if it's fair? And if I make that picture and I look at myself and decide, oh, I'm the one who can decide if something's fair, then I have to somehow have more knowledge about me, about my situation, about Scott, about his situation. I have to somehow be omniscient about all the people our lives touch and the situation to know whether or not this is truly fair. And I don't. Like, I'm human. And even when I was raising my children, okay, and I was the grown-up and I was in the room, there'd be a fight would break out and then it'd be like, well, so she said this. No, I never did that. She did that. And like, there I was in the room with just 4 little people. And I often couldn't get it right. I couldn't decide what was fair because I might have missed something, or like my point of view is this is right or that is wrong. And, I failed as a mom many times trying to make it as fair as possible. I think that's what we do as parents. We try and make it fair. And I think we expect God to want to make it fair. But I'm realizing like I don't have the whole picture. Like I really don't have the whole picture. I'm going to tell a story from my childhood just to say again how I don't have the whole picture and my mom didn't have the whole picture. We had company over. I was about 3 years old, and we'd come. And this is like such a vivid memory for me. We had company, and my mom and dad visited, and we had a meal. I'm not sure what was in the meal, but we had food. So we sat at the table, and then we left the table. And my friend and I, we went upstairs to go play with the toys. And my mom and dad and their friends retired to the living room so that they could visit there. And I remembered that they left the food and stuff on the table, and my mom had said, oh, don't worry, we'll deal with that later. Let's go visit. So they'd gone to the living room and visited. And then at the end of the evening, my dad said to me, my dad and my friend's dad came upstairs and said, okay, we're going to go soon, so you need to help Carla clean up her toys. So they went back downstairs, and I said to my friend at my very young age, no, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up when you're gone. And we went about playing. And a few minutes later, the dads came upstairs, and they were like, why didn't you obey? You're supposed to obey. You need to clean up these toys. So they left, and I said to my friend, oh, no, don't worry about it. I'll clean it up when you're gone. And like, long story short, she got in trouble. I got in trouble. And when they left, I was disciplined. And I was too young to communicate at the time why I did what I did. But my mom looking at the situation and my dad looking at the situation said, like, why are you disobeying? You had clear instructions, you understood us, and you disobeyed. It wasn't until I was in my 40s that I went back to my mom and I'm like, okay, but I was just trying to be like you. Like, I remember you left the table and you said, don't worry about helping with these dishes. I'll do them later. Let's go visit. So I did the same thing to my friend. I said, oh, don't worry about the toys. I'll do it later. Let's just play. And so I was being like as grown up and mature as I could at my little 3-year-old age. But in my view, I could only see my little part. And my mom could only see what her intentions were. There's no way that she did the most fair and just thing that they knew to do, my parents, and that was to discipline me for disobedience. And I did disobey. They just didn't understand the reason I disobeyed. And I did have the right heart for my friend, but I didn't have the right heart for obedience. And there's so many things like that that happen. Like, that's just one instance, right? So in this one little instance, we don't get it right so many times. So how on earth do I think that I can somehow determine what is fair in Scott and my life about cancer, or about how long we're together? I mean, I know what I want. Let me tell you, I know what I want. I know what Scott wants, but we don't know what's fair. We don't know what's good. We don't know what's best because we have a very finite view. And to somehow think that this is unfair means that God is not good, that he is not looking out, that he doesn't have a good whole picture of it, that somehow he's missing something and he's not God. And that's just not true. I myself have seen him do things that made no sense in my life, and then months or days, months, years later, something all of a sudden falls into place. I'm like, oh, that's why that made sense. That was more than fair. That was just, that was loving. I'm so grateful God didn't answer that prayer then, because now that I know what I know, I had no clue what I was asking for. And so I feel sometimes like that's where I'm at. I say, God, this isn't fair. I really want to be married to Scott for a long time, and for him to be healthy the whole time. That's my heart. And it doesn't feel fair that here we are again with one more thing on our plate. But I do know this, that it is probably not fair, but it is very good. It's probably better than fair. It's the most loving, amazing thing God can do for us. And I have to say this, that even already I'm beginning to see some things. I've, intentionally stepped down from boards that I was on. I was on one board for several years, and I stepped down so I could spend more time with Scott. I stepped down from another board that was much more active, where I was like quite involved, and it was very hard. My heart was like so involved there, but I stepped down so I could choose a priority, which is Scott, so we could build our relationship, we could grow together, that we could be husband and wife, that we could be mom and dad, that we could be grandparents, Cece and Saba, to the little people. And this has given us opportunity to rest, to be together, to live together, to do things together that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do without rush and pressure. So there's already goodness coming from it. It gives us time to learn about each other and do these treatments together. So, is it fair? No, I actually don't think it's fair. I think it's better than fair. And I think that when I get to heaven one day and God looks at all of the things that I've done from my childhood right through till the day that I see him face to face, I think there's going to be a lot of things that I wish I would have done better, more of, less of, whatever. But this I know is that he's going to weigh all of this and it's going to be in my favor. It's going to be more than fair when I see him face to face. And so when I ask you this question, and I have those days, because I do, where I say, like, this isn't fair, I want you to remind me that this is more than fair, and that in the end, I will know that this is beyond fair. This is very good. This is extra on favor toward me somehow that I can't understand. Favor towards Scott in a way that I can't understand. It just doesn't seem fair right now. But I have to trust that this is, I believe in life that doesn't end. It just keeps going and going and going. And so, at least for those of us who are followers of Jesus, it goes on. The rest, Bible has a different answer for that. And so, remind me that, it's not fair. It's actually better than fair. And now about this thing about deserving. Several people have said to us, oh, you don't deserve this. You don't deserve this. And if we were valuing cancer based on who deserved it, like how do you do that? How do you put a value on someone? You deserve to be sick. You don't deserve to be sick. That's not okay to me. I think every human being has value, and every human being deserves to be happy, to be free, to be healthy. So there's not some that deserve it and some that don't. And I don't know that we ever deserve to be anything. Deserving means we've earned it. And I know that particularly people have said this about Scott because he served his wife so long and so faithfully for so many years through her illness and sickness before she died, that I can see how some might say, you deserve this. And some people have said that of me too, for the things that I've lived through, like, you don't deserve this. But let me tell you my perspective. I think that what we do and how we live does not determine what we deserve. In the end, we will get reward, but that's not what we're talking about here. Like, we don't deserve this, or we do deserve it. If I was a perfect human being, which I'm not, only Jesus was a perfect human being, then he wouldn't deserve it. But yet he chose a death on the cross. What I deserve, based on my sinful attitude, the sins of my life, the things that I've done that hurt other people, what I deserve is hell. I once heard a radio, well, it was radio. Maybe it's probably on TV. I have no idea because I didn't watch TV, but radio. I don't have time for TV. A radio preacher, don't know who, but this might have been 15 years ago. And he said, what we deserve is hell. Anything better than hell is already a gift. And so this has permeated the way I think, permeated the way I view the world, the way I view my own suffering, the way I view cancer now. Yeah, it's not good. And we know that it's the enemy, Satan, who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So yeah, this is a fallen world. There's definitely evil at play and sin at play. But what do I deserve? I deserve hell. I deserve hell. but for the grace of God. Jesus came and died on the cross for me so that I don't have to have hell. I don't have to, and I won't, because I believe in Jesus, and I've asked him to run my life and to be in charge, and I'll do my best to follow him, and I will screw that up multiple times a day. But I do know that what I deserved was hell. Anything else that I have, that I experience on this side of heaven, is an opportunity for me to bring God's glory and grace into the situation. And this might be a little bit complicated, but when I live at the place that anything better than hell is already a blessing, cancer can't touch it. Especially because cancer is going to bring death, but every one of us is going to die at some point. We just know when someone has cancer what they're going to die by. It's not likely it might be a car accident before he dies of cancer. I mean, there's so many things that could happen, but we're all going to die. Cancer right now is the memo we've been given to say it might be this way that you die. And it might be at this time that you die. And they might be wrong. But that's all it is. And right now, I choose to look at cancer, at Scott's cancer, our journey with cancer, as a way to grow, as a way to get to know God better, a way to understand how does this grace work in my life and in the lives of others? How do these hard questions fit with a loving God? And I think that if I look at my understanding of a loving God, it's this creator who made human beings, and he made them knowing things are going to get rough. Things are going to get rough, and they're going to screw up, and they're going to break relationship with me. So I better provide a solution. And he did, and he provided that solution through Jesus. And so there's this time that we have on earth where things get really rocky and dumb, and we mess up, and we hurt each other, and others hurt us. But what we really deserve is hell, except for Jesus. And then when we encounter Jesus and he does something wonderful for us, and we realize that he took everything we deserve. And then for a short time, whether that's like however long, from the time you're born to the time you die, you're going to live through some pretty rough stuff. And then it's going to be amazing after that. There's going to be eternity. It's going to be good. We're going to be like on a new earth where we get to work and enjoy the fruit of our labor, and we get to be in a relationship with people, and there's not going to be pain and sorrow. It's going to be pretty incredible. I look forward to learning and going to school all over again to learn more things. But there's this short piece here where it's going to be hard. But not only is this the short piece where it's going to be hard, during this short piece, I have an opportunity to experience God in a way that I will not be able to once I get to heaven. Right now, I have the opportunity to literally hold the hand of a creator God who's offered to give me grace and strength when things are hard. He's offered to bring me peace, and he's offered to walk with me and to speak to me, and that's pretty incredible. This is an opportunity for me to tap into that kind of relationship, and trust me, I'm doing that. It's a continuation of how I've always lived. This is just sort of shining a spotlight on it a bit more, because now cancer is hard, it's ugly, and we have the opportunity to walk through this journey together, hand in hand with God. And so when someone says to me, you don't deserve this, I'm like, absolutely, I deserve hell. This is way better than I deserve. You're right, I don't deserve this. Jesus didn't deserve my sin on the cross, and I don't deserve this much freedom. I don't deserve to have the creator of the universe whisper in my ear and speak to me and sing over me at night. I don't deserve that, but I'm blessed with that because I'm chosen by God, and he loves me just like you can be, just like Scott is. I don't deserve this. You're right. I don't deserve this special privilege of having God choose us to walk through this time of difficulty and give testimony to the things that he's doing, because he's already doing miracles. And maybe it's not the kind of miracles everyone else thinks of, but it's definitely miracles. And the biggest miracle, I think, is being able to walk through this with confidence, knowing that you're right, I don't deserve this. I deserved hell. This is a blessing to be able to walk through these difficulties with the hand of God. Knowing that when I'm crying, he's with me. When I'm excited about good reports, he's with me. When I see his hand at work doing things, it's because he loves us. You know, I do feel like this is an opportunity for me to experience God in a way that I wouldn't any other way. And sometimes I feel a little bit sad for some of the people that I know that have not struggled as much, because they haven't seen God as closely as I have, because I've had to reach out to no one else sometimes except God. And so I remember one time when one of our kids was going through a really, really, really hard time, and I wanted to protect them, and I was doing all kinds of things to protect them from themselves and to protect them from literally everything. And one night, it was probably about 3:30 in the morning, and I was just calling out to the Lord and just saying, like, I can't do this. I don't know how I am going to protect this child. And I just heard the Lord ask me, he said, if they're never sick, they're never going to need a healer. How will they know me as healer if they're never sick? And if they're never in need, how are they ever going to know me as provider? And if they never feel alone, how are they ever going to know me as a constant companion? You know, there's so many things that we have not experienced about our massive, incredible, loving God, because we have not experienced the depth of pain that only he can match with something more beautiful. So you're right. I don't deserve this. Scott doesn't deserve this, because it's a blessing bigger than what we can grasp this side of heaven. But I know for myself, I want to do this well. I want to honor him. I want to bring him glory during this time. Because this is my only opportunity. We won't suffer in heaven. There'll be no cancer in heaven. There'll be no MS in heaven. There'll be no bad relationships in heaven. So I want to do this well right now. I want to take advantage of the opportunity to be walking through this with the Holy Spirit, hand in hand, with a God who promises relationship. And so that's what I think about whether or not this is fair and whether or not I deserve it. I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about how I think.